Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and we're going to talk about the new television show on HBO Max, the premiere television show on HBO Max, that is called Scenes from a Marriage, and we're going to analyze Scenes from a Marriage for for elements that can help make our Dungeons & Dragons campaigns better, all right? Specifically in how marriages are depicted in our Dungeons & Dragons game. All right. Let's talk about Scenes from a Marriage. There's a lot to learn for Dungeons & Dragons in this. So one, when you are going as a Dungeon Master to make your game, you need to understand what's happening. HBO Max understands this, right? So HBO Max wants to have viewers who consistently view their content every week, right? And come back on a normal basis. And you absolutely need this as a streaming service. I think I have all the major streaming services. I can say that. There are no, I have Prime, Disney Plus, Netflix, HBO Max, and I think those are the big dogs. Oh, and you know what? I do not have Paramount Plus. I do not consider. I had them for 2 months at 99 cents a month. It was great. I loved it. If it was 99 cents a month now, I'd be having it now, but it's not. But I don't consider it a major streaming service. I think it's it hasn't put on its big girl pants yet. All right, so basically you have these major streaming services, and they need you to come back. It's really important to them, right? And legit, I forget Prime Video exists. I never forget Netflix exists. I never forget HBO Max exists, right? I often forget Disney Plus and Prime Video exists. I also have Hulu. That's another major streaming service, and we have Crunchyroll, but it's not really a major streaming service. All right, so by the way, I pay for YouTube. I've ad for YouTube. It's crazy. We have a lot of streaming services, right? So this is applicable to your game. Okay. So this is interesting. Scenes from a Marriage. I looked at the thumbnail. I'm like, this is going to be a train wreck. I am not going to enjoy this. This is going to make me sad and depressed. And boy, did it. But I watched it anyway. Why did I watch it? Right. Well, HBO Max has christened the 9 p.m. slot in the Sunday 9 p.m. slot. And what they did was they made me watch Mayor of Eastwood by making an incredible show. They made me watch White Lotus by making an incredible show. They made me watch The Undoing by making an incredible show. And I watched this because I'm like, oh, this is the new Sunday at 9, right? So you as a Dungeon Master, this is what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to build consistent campaigns that deliver, right? The Undoing delivered. Hugh Grant and Nicole Kidman, rock solid, right? I enjoyed it, right? Mayor of Eastwood is the best HBO Max has created. Rock solid, deliverer, good series, right? And then White Lotus knocked it out of the park, okay? So what you as a Dungeon Master are doing is you are building, and you can do this, right? You could say, you're doing this. You are doing this. And if you're not, you're failing as a Dungeon Master, okay? You're saying, I'm going to give you multiple different campaigns, right? And if you have one gigantic long 7-year campaign, you suck. You're doing it wrong, right? If White Lotus was 100 episodes and was taking that time slot, they would be failing HBO Max to do what HBO Max has done, which is get me to watch the time slot on HBO Max. And that's what you want as a Dungeon Master, right? You need to say, hey, you need to be here in my game because I am better than other Dungeon Masters. HBO Max is like, we are better than other streaming services, and they have outperformed Disney Plus and way outperformed Prime Video, right? It's a major streaming service, but their content is nonsense. There's so much junk over there, right? I'm surprised when I watch anything good on Prime Video, right? And that's just not the case, right? So you're trying to build these, you're trying to build this, right? Where you're trusted as a Dungeon Master. And I'm building it right now. It looks like we've landed. Our time slot has bounced around. We used to be on Wednesday night. Then we were on Monday night for a couple times. But now We've actually landed on Sunday night, right? And people really like it, and people are starting to schedule off. And so I am saying Sunday at 6 p.m. at Scott Garibay's house, you're going to get good deliverable content that actually rocks, right? Now, granted, HBO Max, this Scenes from a Marriage, by the way, I am not suggesting you watch this. I'm suggesting you listen to how we should depict marriages. What I'm telling you right now, you should not watch this show. It is an absolute bone-grindingly horrible, depressing suckfest. It is not a good show. And it's not a good show not because people didn't work hard on it. I'm a huge Oscar Isaacs fan. I'm a huge Jessica Chastain fan. Both are massive Hollywood, actual, real actor Hollywood stars. Real juice, right? And this, and HBO Max put some money in this. This thing, if it costs a dime, it costs $50 to $100 million, right? And there's no like spaceships in this thing. So like the money is literally going into the directors, the writers, and into the stars. Okay, so how do we depict marriages in Dungeons and Dragons? The exact opposite of how it's done in Scenes in a Marriage. I could not believe how horrible Scenes in America depicts marriages. So it is my humble opinion that if you watch Scenes from a Marriage, it is telling you something very specific. It is saying, if you are two people in love, if you're two people and you choose to fall in love and you do not share the same religion and you choose to make your marriage so that the husband is the gatherer and the woman is the hunter, from the old hunter-gatherer, men used to hunt, women used to gather, that old, well, I think that's still scientific. I think, the cave people didn't understand the new woke, inclusive, peaceful future that we're building now. So they were like, the dudes kill they kill the woolly mammoth with clubs and spears, and the women are going to gather. And that was very unwoke of them, and I think, cave people, if they were around, would be apologetic for that. But they're not, right? And, science has told us those gender roles were in place then, right? Now, we may get science in the future that matches our new, more woke, our woke, inclusive, peaceful future that tells us that, no, like women and men both, gathered and hunted. But this is saying, So this is saying if you have a male hunter, right, and that role is fulfilled by the female in a traditional marriage, right? Traditional marriage in that one man, one woman who actually biologically has kids. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that's traditional. That is not traditional today. That is a very non-traditional marriage today. If you have a Leave It to Beaver 1950s marriage, right, where you're like the man asks the woman to marry him, and then the woman is like, yes, but then you go to where the woman provides and the man nurtures, and that's the structure of it. This show is saying that at the macro level will fail, right? And that these people will be desperately unhappy with themselves, with their child, and with any children they can choose to have going forward. And they will be monster people. They will be cruel to each other. They will be cruel to their children. They will be cruel to possible future children. And they will be cruel to the people around them. I completely disagree with this. I think that, this was a horrible hit job on married couples who do not share the same religion, and married couples who have a female provider and a male nurturer. And I think that can work out happily, right? Now, I have to admit, I've never seen that. I've seen that structured marriage, and it has ended in divorce every time I've seen it, which is between like 3 and 5 times. But I know there are millions of marriages, and I am very confident that people who do not share the same religion and who and where the woman is the provider and the man is the nurturer, I absolutely think that can work, right? I think this, for HBO Max to paint this picture that this will end in tears and flames, is horribly unfair and horribly cruel. I will say I'm very surprised to see Hollywood starting to walk back some of the wokeness that they used to sign on to. I would have thought this really broke every stereotype I expected from Hollywood, right? I expected that Hollywood would tell us, okay, if you are a family where the two people do not share the same religion, and the woman is the provider and the man is the is the nurturer, that can work out. This show is saying, no, this will be misery for everyone involved, for the children, for the wife, for the husband. This will end in tears and flames. And I think the show even is pointing to saying that this would happen at the macro level, which I think is outrageously cruel. So in our Dungeons and Dragons games, what we need to do is we need to depict that marriages where people do not share the same religion, and where a woman is the provider and a man is the nurturer, can work out well and can be joyful for the children, for the husband, and for the wife. I completely disagree with Hollywood on this. I completely disagree with HBO Max on this, and I disagree with the writers. Right now, I don't think Jessica Chastain and Oscar Isaacs they're not responsible for the content of the material. So we need to be very careful as we depict this in Dungeons and Dragons. Our prosperous inn tavern keepers, the woman can own the tavern, the man can take care of the children, and one can worship the sun god, and the other one can worship the god of death, and that could still be a happy marriage. Well, that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.